People born before 1990. What's something you experienced that younger generations will never understand? Leaving the house in the morning, being gone all day, doing God knows what, only coming home in time for dinner, and never once checking in or being checked on. How are General Alpha going to just figure out life without their parents' direction? Also, it causes a massive burden to parents to constantly have to watch the kids. Like, holy shit, just go outside and go away for a few hours. I grew up in the mid-2000s and 2010s and skateboarded, and I would say my childhood was like this. I did have a flip phone from a young age, though, that I would use at the end of the day to say, "Can you pick me up?" But half the time my mom wouldn't answer, and I'd have to ride home. Except my 15-year-old daughter does exactly this. Not unheard of for me to see her come out for dinner and chores, and that's it the entire day. And you drank water only once a week, and it was from a garden hose. The fact that if you didn't have the internet, social media, access to any TV series or movie you wanted, and smartphones, you and others made an effort to get together and spend time with each other in person. It was awesome. One that feels crazy now is wanting to hear a band or song and just not being able to. Even in the early 2000s, I didn't have high-speed internet as a young person, and I spent a good bit of time reading about bands that I'd never heard. I remember me and a few friends chipping in and ordering a bunch of CDs from a punk record label from bands we had only heard about, and if they sort of sucked, you had to listen to them a lot anyway, because new music was probably not in the cards for a while. The flip side of this was hearing something you did love, but having no idea who sang it or how to figure out who sang it. I remember one time in the early 1990s turning on Jay Leno and hearing a musical act but having missed their intro. I had no idea who they were and had no way of finding out. Today you can click the program "More Information Needed" button and it shows who is on the show, or even use the internet after the fact to see after the fact. That's the reason, oldies, stations were a thing. They gave our parents, the boomers, the ability to hear songs from when they were young. Unless they could find CD reproductions, that was the only way to hear some of that music. You didn't always get the movie you wanted when you went to Blockbuster. You often had to strategize your visits and frequently check returns. A rotary telephone on the wall with a super long cord, which would constantly get twisted, so you'd have to work to stretch it out of your parents' earshot. We had a rotary phone with a cord about 3 feet long. Zero privacy. All calls within parental earshot, and that was the only phone in the house. We also only had one bathroom for 4 people. I am not that old, born in 1970. And multiple phone outlets in the house, all hooked up to the same line, allowing someone in another room to pick up and listen to, or interrupt your call. Bonus points if it was that avocado green color. Waiting at the airline terminal for your friend or relative to get off the plane. Dial-up internet kicking you off because someone picked up the phone. I told someone once that my mom was fired for wearing a pantsuit to her classroom back when she was a teacher. They never believe me and want to argue the point with me. I usually just add that I was sent home from school years later, because on a very cold day when I had to walk to class, I just kept my snow pants on. I had on a dress and tights but was shivering, because the rooms there were kept so cold. The teacher told me to take them off, and I said, "No, I can't do that yet, I'm still freezing." I was sent into the hallway, then to the principal's office, and then home for the rest of the day. Girls and women cannot wear pants in public schools years old. That is wild to me. I said in another post that I should have been born in the 1940s, but it is nice living now and not having to deal with such stupid sexism back in the day. And I can get a credit card and a house in my own name without a husband. It truly is better now. Thanks for the reminder of how far we women have come. My mother had a bank account before she was married in 1977. She tells the story that after she married my father, the same bank would not let her do certain things with her own bank account because she was now married to my father. She now needed her husband's permission. Clearing out boxes of old school papers last year, my mom saved everything. I came across a letter to parents from the elderly maiden lady who was my elementary school principal from 1st through 3rd grades. The letter announced that school dress code was being changed to allow girls to wear slacks to school, but only between Thanksgiving and Easter break. Also, shorts would be permitted from the 1st of May till the end of school in mid-June, but for boys only, not for girls. And dungarees were not allowed for either sex at any time. This would have been for the 1970 to 1971 school year. I was in second grade. I graduated in 1996, and one of the girls from my class wanted to wear pants instead of the required dress. She was told she would not be allowed to walk during graduation. It turned into a huge deal with news stories and everything. Eventually, they let her wear pants. Of course, when her name was called at graduation, a lot of people started shouting, "Pants! Pants!" You have received a collect call from, "Mom, it's me. Pick me up from school. Do you recognize the caller? Do you accept the charges?" Click. Recording songs off the radio and praying the cassette tape wouldn't get chewed up. Also, popping out to use a payphone if a family member was using the only house phone for a long call. And wanting the damn DJ to stop talking over the song intro. Centralized pop culture. We were all watching the same episodes of the same shows at the same time and listening to the same music. We had a pretty good chance of finding some common ground with anyone we talked to. Now it's possible for a person's entire news, music, or entertainment catalog to be so niche you've never even heard of them. Everything was in person, unless you did catalogs. No online shopping, grocery delivery, online dating. You had to go out into your community and find whatever it was you were looking for, and it was likely you'd run into people you know while you were out. I've noticed this shift in culture for years now. I teach high school, and I can't make any comparisons to TV, movies, and music anymore. I can't make a joke the room will understand. The kids share meme culture. Up until recently, they all played the same few video games, but I haven't heard much about Fortnite this year. I don't think Lost would have had the impact it did if it released today, between binge seasons and 2 to 3 year gaps between seasons. The joy of going to the video shop and picking a movie. Unanswered questions. If it wasn't covered in the 4 paragraphs Britannica had on the topic, you were out of luck. It led to this great phenomenon where you'd meet somebody with a cool job and you'd finally get to ask that question you'd been wondering for so long. I miss that. Or thinking you knew everything there is to know about the solar system, because that was your favorite section of the World Book Encyclopedia. I was just having a conversation with my older kids about this, and had to explain why the older generation believed old wives' tales that seemed silly to them, like peeing on a jellyfish sting. I was raised on a 72-acre farm and had always been told that tomato juice would neutralize skunk spray odor. A couple of them had heard of that too, so I asked them to look it up. Turns out, skunk spray is not neutralized by tomato juice at all. I told them to imagine no one ever knowing, except for scientists who didn't have access to worldwide internet to dispel the myths, and not having Google to magically tell you the answer. Edit autocorrect. I'm not trying to talk about old wives, butts. That's a whole different tale to tell about tales. You could just dial 0 and ask the operator. She'd connect you to whoever she thought could find your answer. I usually got the library. Having to wait until your camera roll was finished and developed to see how your pictures turned out. My kid wants those again. They pay $20 for a disposable camera. No way am I going back to those overexposed. Gotta remember to drop it off, gotta remember to pick it up, gotta store the negatives and photos somewhere. Ha! We youngsters are back at this. Kodak even restarted production of Kodacolor to meet increased demand, and film prices have skyrocketed because the production lines can't keep up. The art school kids, myself included, have even started setting up dark toilets to develop and print their film at home. Waiting for a ride with nothing to do. No music, no texts, no videos, nothing but my own thoughts and observations. You would have a question about something. Where did the scientific classification of life come from? How fast is the speed of light? Are dogs and wolves related? And you couldn't just Google it on your phone or computer. You had to hold the question in the back of your head until you found a person who could answer, or an encyclopedia or library. I really wonder what this means for humanity and our ability to conceive and synthesize information. Having to stay home on the night your favorite TV show comes on because you only get 2 chances to see it. I remember setting up the VCR to tape a show if we were going to be out, but that was kind of rolling the dice that you programmed it correctly. The VCR clock has to be set correctly. You have to get the start and stop time right, set the right channel, then hit confirm like 3 times, and if you didn't, it would throw out all your work. I remember leaving dinner with friends early because I wanted to get home in time to watch a show. And on the way, realizing how stupid it was for me to cut short time spent with real friends to watch a sitcom of people pretending to be friends. If you're lucky, you get that second chance. They didn't have time to rerun the whole season over the summer. No clue how they decided which episodes to run. Yes, this! I remember being in high school, and I watched Dawson's Creek religiously, every week. I missed the series finale because that was when my idiot boyfriend decided to break up with me over the phone. I still have not seen the conclusion to the series to this day. With analog TV, every once in a while, atmospheric conditions would carry a signal really far. Normally, the station had to be within 50 to 100 miles, with a good antenna. But a few times we turned on the TV and got signal from several states away. Getting Little Rock, Arkansas channels in northern Kansas is one I remember vividly. It was like a weird little parallel reality where it was basically the same programs but different car dealer commercials, and the newscasters were suddenly different people. Once it happened, and some channels were the same channel, and since it was analog, the images were ghostly, superimposed over each other. Two discrete but simultaneous broadcasts, interleaved together. I could leave the house and nobody could expect to be able to get a hold of me until I got home. No updates, no explanations of delays, no communication of any kind until you got home. Calling home for a ride from a payphone collect call would just refuse the charges because they already knew where we were, so get your quarter back and still get your ride. Amazing what a quarter meant back then. This is a little before my time, but my brother would call from the payphone and let it ring once, hang up, get the quarter back, and then do it again to signal that he was done with practice after school and my mom should come get him. I remember being a kid, and if it was a certain time of the evening, my mom would be like, "Don't answer it!" when the phone rang, so we could hear if it rang once or twice for the signal. Pretty ingenious way to save a quarter. Being alone, no one knowing where you were, and that you would not be disturbed while you were doing something. Driving, and just listening to the radio, and not getting calls and texts. Yes, if you weren't home, you weren't reachable. People had to plan ahead or wait for your time, not just expect it at their whim. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. It really helps. Subscribe for more, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next one.